TV MLG Prize Fights presented by Bic Flex 4 Razors. We're heading into game 4 here. Thorzian up 2-1, and we jump into Shakura's Plateau. Wolf, why don't you tell me where our players are at?
All right, that I can do, JP. Down here at the bottom right, we have our Terran player from the team Mal Sports. It is Mal's Thorzian. And of course, his opponent at the bottom left from the team Liquid is Liquid Sheth. And this is an older map. I'm really excited to see kind of how this map plays. It's been a long time since I've cast on this map. I've played, of course, a ton of games on this map, as we all have on ladder. But it's been a long time since I've been able to cast a game here, so I'm really excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and if they were not spawned both on the bottom portion of this map, I would say that this map kind of favors Thorzian, just because of how you could split and sit in the center of this map. If you just put a couple of tanks there on the two Xel'Naga towers, there is really no way your Zerg opponent is going to be able to slip by. Sure, he could use these little areas on the north and south in the center of the map, but if you have a planetary at those expansions, it's really, really hard to break through.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, with the style we've seen from Thorzian, just even holding the towers is so easy on this map. You can see siege lines in the middle. If you have the towers, you have sensor turrets up. It's just so impossible for a Zerg player to break in the late game. So we may see something like we saw last game. Sheth may go for some sort of early aggression. I'd really like to see something like that out of him. In the last game, though, I don't even think that was his plan. It just kind of turned out that way because he just got ahead and he decided to just kind of capitalize on that. We'll see what he does here, though. It's only time will tell.
Yeah, Sheth has got to try something new. I mean, last game, he really won because of Thorzian messing up, which we already pretty much talked about. So we see the 15 hatch going down. That's pretty common. You can't go for anything crazy like a 14 gas, 14 pull, as it just puts you so far behind in this matchup. And Thorzian looks like he's back to not doing that 2-racks that we saw last game. He's just going back to the Spoon Terran.
Yeah, absolutely so. Sheth does get a glimpse of the gas, and he knows, of course, the positions now with his Overlord. So it's going to be pretty important for him to know. If he had planned on sending a drone scout out, he might actually change his mind. Look at this, JP. It looks like Sheth is going to go double hatch before pool. A very risky strategy normally, but in this case, against the Spoon Terran of all Terrans, I like this choice. He's going to be, kind of breaking out of his shell, changing up his style a little bit, and this is the kind of thing you need to do when you're behind in a series.
Yeah, I actually really like to see this. I mean, this is the build that you really see only in, or actually no, usually you go pool first in ZVP now that I think about it. But with this build, Thorzian never really is aggressive early on. He gets maybe 2, 4, 6 Hellions, but that's it. He doesn't go for an early attack, so he's going to be able to get his third base up very easily, I got to say.
Yeah, and Thorzian is going to be maybe even put off a little bit by this. He's going to be a little bit surprised since he's playing so passively here. He's going to be frustrated. His opponent's drone count is really high. He's got a ton of extra larva he didn't account for. He didn't even make his command center on the low ground, so he's losing so much mining time in that regard. So things are going to get a little bit weird for him. He's going to have to make up for it somehow, but it's going to be a long time before he even knows about this.
Yeah, I mean, the hatchery is about to finish right now. We're going to see a huge influx of drones here for Sheth, and he could go for a pretty big roach timing off of 3 base because you are going to have that much more minerals. You could also go for some heavy Baling Muta play since you're going to have 6 Vespian Geysers instead of 4. This really just opens up so many different things for Sheth to do that will work so well against Thorzian's very slow style. If you can just have more stuff that Thorzian can actually defend against, then you're going to be able to take him out.
Yeah, that's very true. And Thorzian is doing what he thinks is risky, and he thinks is going to get him ahead economically in making a fast third command center, and that's something that is going to help him out here against what his opponent is doing, but it's not going to be as fast as he thought. Notice that, exactly like you said, Sheth is using his third hatchery just for some extra larva right now to get some extra roach pressure out right now. He's making up to 6 roaches now. He's going to move out, and he's going to force perhaps a lift on Thorzian's command center. He's going to have to play defensively for a little while. But Thorzian is getting that late starport, though. You see that you may even get late cloak. It's something that we've been seeing a lot of Terrans do, especially in Korea, pulling up their reactor Hellion expand with some cloak banshees.
Oh, this is actually so smart for Sheth. This is a typical thing that Zergs will sometimes do, is just make 4 to 6 roaches and send them towards your opponent's natural. And he's not even going to know that the third base is up for even longer now because those Hellions had retreat as they are facing an attack from these roaches to deny this expansion. You see right here, SCV's had to be pulled. The Hellions go back up into the main, and now he's going to have to wait for just a little bit longer for some more Marauders to come out.
Yeah, he even pulled all of his SCVs into his main. He had to make a bunker at the top of the ramp. All of this pressure by Sheth basically tricks Thorzian and forces a lot of reaction out of him. He's even going to do some damage to this command center, and he's not going to lose the roaches. He's actually totally fine with this. The roaches will be useful later, but the question is, will he scout the Banshee with these roaches? It looks like they're actually going to go home just a little bit too soon to see that Banshee. That's going to be something he wants to know about. It looks like he's predicted it, though. He's got an Evolution Chamber going up right now, actually a second one to join it, and he's got an extra Queen coming out. He should be able to defend against the Banshee pressure, especially considering he's not going Cloak.
I'm so happy right now with the Mana Bear Sheth. His play in this series really shows that he is a tip-top player. He's able to evolve over a series and really just play so well against his opponent here in Game 4. Thorzian is moving out with these Hellions and 1 Marauder and 2 Marines. The Ling is going to scout that for 1 second. Here comes the Banshee coming into the main base. A Queen is ready for it, though, and he does not have Cloak, and there's his Spore Crawler going down. So this Banshee should be stopped pretty soon.
Yep, Banshee, it looks like it's just going to get 3 kills and then head out. But, well, he's got to be careful.
Oh, wow. And he gets away with 5 HP.
Very
close stuff. Yeah, incredibly close. Now, look at the units right now. 47 drones to the 45 right now of Thorzian, and it's going to get a little bit even more crazy than that as soon as these Queens pop out at the natural and the third base.
Something to note is that Thorzian still does not know about that third base. He's moving out now. He's taking control of the watchtowers. He may even catch and kill these roaches in the middle of the map, but he has no idea about the third base. And without knowing about that third base, he's not going to be able to punish it. And right now, Sheth has taken a huge risk by not making any spines there. He doesn't have a ton of units out to defend it. So Thorzian, if he knew, could put so much pressure on there, but he just does not know.
And
now he's going to find out.
Yeah, he saw the Lings right up there. Oh, but the Hellions are actually going to get surrounded somewhat as both players kind of messed up there. When it came to control, the Marines and Marauders will get focused down in the back. Only 3 Hellions up on the high ground here remain for Thorzian. And Sheth should be able to take those out pretty soon. The Lings will run in, though, and fall victim to that attack. Now, I do want to mention the fact that these players are playing for $250 here in this undercard match, and we still have the title card match of Marine King against Dawes coming up right after this for $750.
Yeah, 13 drones are on the way. 14 drones, by the way, for Sheth. 15. He's actually just making as many drones as he can. Now he's cleaned up those Hellions. He knows his opponent does not have that pushing power that he used to have. The Spire that's on the way is not a choice that you see very often in this matchup these days, but we are going to see some Mutila's Harass.
Yeah. And, I mean, he's adding on. He's got all of his gas now at his 3 bases. It's really... This third base is paid so well for Sheth. He actually has 2 harvesters on one of his extractors at his natural right now, but Thorzian's doing what Thorzian does, and that's just play very passive, kind of stays on his side of the map for the majority of the game. He does small little pokes like we're seeing right here with these Banshees, as the Lings are moving out on the map, possibly just checking. Now he already sees that there is no third base, but now he wants to go in and look over here. Sees the third base there for Thorzian. He's actually going to catch a lot of his SCVs, and the Mules, one of them falling, but it looks like one will be able to return to work.
Yeah, nice pull timing there by Thorzian, not losing too many of those workers. You know, one reason why I think we're seeing Mutila's play here potentially on this map is because it's a good map for it. You can bounce between the bases. There's Banshees out. He knows he's going to have to deal with those. But he made the Spire. He started +1 for his Mules, and then he started Roaches. It looks like he's changed his mind somewhat here. He's even got +1 for the Roaches, Roach speed on the way, and it looks like he really wants to commit a little bit to this Roach play. That's something you really don't see very often, but in this case, with this many mech units out on the map, I really like it.
Right now, I mean, Thorzian doesn't have all that much stuff. He's got 2 Thors. He's got a couple tanks scattered around, so for Sheth to put out this many roaches, he's going to be able to deal a lot of damage, I think. If he does have upgrades coming, he's got +1 carapace. At least we've got a couple, only 1 Muta in production right now. So many upgrades here for Sheth. He's taking his 4th base. 2 Banshees are in position to start taking that out, but this Queen is going to have at least something to say about that, but it should fall.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't commit with those Banshees. I think that may be what these few mutas are going to be for, just to eliminate those Banshees from the map. Meanwhile, a ton of Zerlings going over to that base of Thorzian he's landed. He hasn't lifted it yet, but he will have to do so if he wants to save that command center. There he goes, and now he should be able to clean up these Zerlings. Something I'm a little bit surprised about with how many Hellions he's made here and how heavily Thorzian is meching is that he has not gotten Blue Flame research. So looks like
Yeah.
he's going to, you know, slow down a little bit on the Hellion production here. But overall, he's just so shocked he does not have that upgrade. Roach is coming in here. It looks like he wants to attack.
And he did catch two of the tanks off guard there. The Lings fell victim to those Hellions, 11 kills on one of them, 10 on the other. But with these 4 Thors and of course the SCVs next to those, he's going to have a hard time really engaging. But he's doing his best over this base of Thorzian, trying to get it down into fighting range. But no, he's going to have to fall back up stairs, and now he's basically trapped. And there's really no hope for these roaches.
Yeah, he's going to get one Thor, though. That's the best he can do, even trying to escape the rest of them. Unfortunately, though, with the siege tank there, was not able to get away. Look at the supply, though, JP. 165 to 124. He's taken that supply lead. He's no longer having to worry about the Banshees. You can see at the top of the map, there's a Mulus patrolling. He's going to run into the Viking here.
And it looks like the Vikings should win that war. How many roaches? Oh, Sheth is actually going for a drop here, as he has so many of these roaches loaded up into those overlords. 2-1 upgrades, leaving some of them on the high ground as well. This is so smart because if he gets into the main base of Thorzian, stops the production of the mech as well as taking some of them out, he can just overwhelm with another attack right after that and seal the deal.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It looks like he's going to do a 2-pronged attack here. His timing is not quite right, though. He needs to wait until the drop occurs before he tries to do this. He went a little bit too early there. Now the drop, like you mentioned, is nearing its destination. There's really nothing in the main base to deal with this. He's got one Thor there, but that's not going to be enough.
And the drop is about to land. There we go. It sees the Thor and immediately goes to pick that up. The Overlord's falling to those turrets, but now he's got so many of these roaches in his main base. The roaches out in the middle of the map have not moved in, but this is mech, guys. This is a very immobile force. He's going to have to use these Thors, and they're ever so slow. And he's taking out the entire mineral line. Starting to work on some depots right now. This attack has just been very, very annoying for Thorzian. As another attack over here at the third base of Thorzian.
Yeah, he finally does use those roaches to go for a flank. He's actually trading so well here, taking out a lot of siege tanks. He's done so much damage in the main base, catching some units that are spawning, killing a lot of SCVs. And this is the type of thing, JP, I feel like Sheth has been needed to do. This is the style that really breaks Thorzian down. If you get a lead in any way, you start dismantling him, you attack in one area where he's weak, and then attack another area where he's weak.
Oh, wow.
That's how you can take them apart.
32 roaches in production right now for Sheth. Let's go into the unit counting station. We see a total of 8 tanks. So he's still doing pretty good on the 8 count, the tank count. 4 Thors out, but that is so many roaches. We already are on hive tech here for Sheth. As soon as he gets over into the Broodlord plays, he already has 2 Spires. It's going to be very hard for Thorzian to really deal with it.
Yeah, it's going to be nearly impossible for him to deal with that. He needs a better Viking count. He's starting that Viking count right now. But if he makes too many Vikings, the roaches are going to be strong against his ground force. He's going to feel a little bit exposed on the ground. These roaches are just continuing to trade. He's trying to catch these siege tanks on siege. If he can catch them on siege one time and kill this army, Thorzian will never be able to rebuild it in time. He'll be too far behind. I like this Banshee usage, man. He's just continue to use these Banshees to push the roaches back and control the center of the map so he can slowly move those tanks forward and siege up. And oh man, he's going to lose the majority of these tanks, if not all of them.
That was some incredible control there for Sheth. Or not control, just positioning. He picked off so many of those tanks there. Even though he lost a lot of his roaches, we've got 20 more on the way. A whole, just a huge amount of corruptors actually here in the center. So Broodlords are coming here pretty soon as soon as that Greater Spire finishes. 16 more roaches on the way. Sheth is just looking almost in every trade. He's coming out on top in this match.
Definitely so. I mean, the supply deficit is getting to be quite large. A small roach drop will hit here at the north. He's going to be able to take out these 2 SCVs and perhaps even pull some of Thorzian's units back, unless he just flies into the turret and loses the Overlord.
It drops 3 of them. Also down in the main, Sheth with another drop, taking out these armories. It is not getting the one that's upgrading, but he is denying units from coming out. The starport about to fall. Here in the center, the Roach is moving forward, taking out Thorzian's army ever so little, and the Broodlords are out, and that should seal the deal.
Yeah, it's looking very, very over at this point. JP is just killing so many units, popping out of the production facilities. He's forced units to be returned home, and then when that happened, the middle of the map did not have a strong enough army to hold the watchtower anymore, so he took those units out as well. The drop at the north is still going on. He actually finally is going to be chased away by these Banshees, but these Roaches are forced to lift on the command center, killed a refinery, killed the SCVs that were up there, and even though the supply is not hugely better for Sheth, he definitely has the better units and better upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Sheth has basically figured out how to deal with Thorzian, and that is just, well, he won't be able to do it next game because Thorzian knows that third base was there so early. Here's the attack, starting to focus down the orbital at the third base. Instead, now getting some tanks, just trading so many units here for so many better units for Thorzian. The problem with mech, in a sense, is that it just does take so many resources and so much supply to get your army, and also so much time. So trading, 2 Roaches for a tank, 8 Lings for a tank or a Thor, it's just so good for the Zerg.
Yeah, it definitely is, and even though that last trade, I guess, as far as literal numbers go, was a little bit better for Thorzian, he's now only 20 supply down. The supply of units that he has is just so much worse than what Sheth has. Sheth has the Broodlords out, he's got the Corruptors out. If he can position himself, he should be able to win this game. There are 10 Vikings out in the field and several Thors to support them, but if he just makes a bunch of Zerlings, another round of Roaches, it's just going to be too much for Thorzian to handle, especially with this immobile army.
Yeah,
I mean, just look at the top right. He has a planetary there. Why would you ever build a planetary there? It's because he's just being dropped so hard.
Yeah, he's got 2 planetaries out on the map right now. The place where he really needs it at this third base next to his main is an orbital. So here are the Corruptors as they start chewing through those Viking counts, getting 2 of them, possibly a third. Now it looks like they will fall back, but right now we're just waiting for those Broodlords to start marching forward.
Yeah, and I like that he's kind of keeping them not hidden, but just safe at this point. He doesn't want to push forward with too few of them. He wants to make sure he's got enough infestors out to support them as well. He's building up the attack before he goes in. Some Thors are going to shoot a Corruptor, but you can see just with that armor, the Thor's anti-air attack is not very effective. The Corruptors, of course, do have +2 Carapace as well, which is something that's fairly rare to see. He's now starting +3 Carapace, starting +3 flyer weapons, and getting a very fast Neural Parasite. So this Neural Parasite is going to be very handy, not only for catching siege tanks, but for Thors as well.
See, once again, another drop here in the main. A couple Lings coming in, just basically killing the remaining SCVs, doing some damage to those Vikings as well. And right now, how many? He's only on 52 SCVs. He's not really mining all that much. And Sheth is basically preparing the biggest force, the death kill force, really, if you will. All these Broodlords, all the Infestors right below, already 199 to 200, and he has a huge amount of Corruptors to be able to deal with those Vikings.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the upgrades are just so much better for Sheth here. He's got 3/3 coming out for his air, whereas just +1 for the Vikings is coming out. He has no armor upgrades for the Vikings. If he fights the Vikings straight up with his Corruptors, he's going to win that fight every time. There is a small group of Hellions that do have Blue Flame and +2 that could run in and roast a bunch of drones if Sheth has his entire army out of position, but he's not quite using them just yet at this point.
He's just sitting at that Zelnaga tower. Sheth is taking out the Destructible Rocks here in the south, possibly to take that base, or as well just send some Roaches in, kind of in the back. But there are the 2-3 Thors there that will meet them. So right now we see an Ultralisk Cavern going down. We see Sheth now positioning himself to the south. Going to be taking out the other Destructible Rocks as well.
Yeah, he is not only moving forward here to start taking out that orbital, but he wants to take out the rocks so he can have more attack patterns with his Roaches, with his Zerlings he wants to use later. Look at all those Broodlings. Even the Broodlings alone are forcing those Thors back. He just has so many Broodlords out here, 10 in total with 18 Corruptors support. And not only does he have fumbles here, but he has Neurals as well, so he has to be very careful with how he approaches this. What can Thorzian do?
There are the fungals going down now. Oh, a huge fungal on all of those Vikings there. Taking them out there with disruptors as well right behind him. This attack is going so well for Sheth with the Neural Parasite. That is exactly what he needed in the previous games. Good game. Thorzian loses here. We are all tied up in this series 2-2. I mean, Sheth just basically played the Thorzian style there in that match, and that's exactly why he won it with that early third.
Yeah, early third base and doing exactly what he needed to do. When you get a little bit ahead against Thorzian, if you could just push him a little bit from several different angles where he doesn't quite have enough units to defend, if you're really, really good at harassing him, you can pull him apart. And Sheth did just that. He did exactly what he needed to do in his earlier games, and he did it well.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, we are going to the rubber match 2-2 here for these two players. MLG Antigua Shipyard will decide it. But first, we got to cut to that quick commercial break. We'll see you guys in just a minute.